Hey YouTube, Abby here. In today's Overwatch video, we'll be going through the advanced Genji tips, advanced Genji guide, advanced Genji advice, whatever you want to call it. It is just going to be all sorts of advanced things that now once you get the hang of the hero, what are you looking to do and how does it create value? So we're going to start right away and just not waste any time. First most important thing for a Genji player to do is you have to have really good scouting skills. So now we're going to be moving away a little bit from the gameplay aspect in terms of your mechanics, like your abilities and combos. We're going to focus on the overall, game as a whole. From team comms to this to that, the positioning, where to go, how to flank, all this type of stuff, right? The most important thing for a Genji player is that their scouting ability has to be really good. But scouting from the perspective that you need to see what they have, anticipate what they're going to do, all this type of related stuff. Like, if they are playing a double shield comp, then how do you play against the double shield comp? If they're playing double shield on Hanamura, and they're defending, so you want to, take the window on top left and flank and, all these type of things, like basically strategizing in your head after you scout. These things kind of go hand in hand. So scouting and strategizing, tips 1 and 2, these are like, they go hand in hand and they're very important for a Genji player. Because Genji is not a very forgiving hero when it comes to you making a mistake. Like, more often than not, if Genji makes a mistake, if he dashes on the wrong target, mistimes the deflect, like doesn't time it right, he gets punished very brutally, and he gets instantly deleted. That's the kind of the state of the hero in Overwatch 1. In Overwatch 2, there is a little bit of forgiving aspects here and there, but not that much of a difference to really, not that much of a difference. So your scouting has to be really good. For example, if you're going into a team fight, then you see that, hey, they got an Ana Zenyatta in their backline. That's their backline, right? You want to try and single out the Zenyatta. You want to poke at him from afar. Once you see his HP bar beginning to go down, you want to dash in, secure the kill, and then immediately use your dash to get out. Do not overextend. That is the third advice that I can kind of give after scouting and then strategizing your plays. Third advice is do not overextend, do not overcommit, do not try to be the superhero of the team. Your hero cannot do that effectively. Yes, there are some moments where you can do that. I'm not denying that at all. But if you are trying to use this guy to rank up, if you're trying to use this guy to improve your play, then you must discipline yourself. One of the things that a lot of low elo Genji players do wrong is that they do not discipline themselves. So disciplining yourself is very, very important in how you use your abilities, how you use, like, the map to your advantage. And that is the next important thing that we're going to talk about. Know which maps Genji is good on. Now, I could make a list and everything, but that would and all of that would require a huge explanation and all of that. So rather than doing that and wasting so much time over here, I might just make a separate video on that. Like, what are the maps that Genji is really good at, and then which are the maps that is, like, Genji is really bad at. These are also important to know. Now, hypothetically speaking, Genji can work really well anywhere. More often than not, he suffers a lot more from the what the enemy is playing rather than the map itself. Unlike a hero like Widowmaker, who nowadays in Overwatch 1 has become a little bit more map dependent, but her viability has gone down due to double shield being a problem. But Genji is also kind of like that too. If they have a lot of stuns, then Genji might not be a hero that you want to play, because, well, you're gonna get tossed around hard. Like, you're gonna CC'd by Cassidy, you're gonna get stunned by Brigitte, you're gonna get like slept by Ana, Ryan will pin you, everybody's gonna find a way to bully you, and you're always gonna feel like, man, I can't do anything, Now, that's kind of the stuff you're playing against, but there's stuff that is good with Genji. Like, there's team comps that Genji is good in. Brawl or any type of rush comp, Genji is great in. Dive, that doesn't need to be said, but dive type of comps are great too. So Winston Zarya on your team or Winston Diva on your team, these are the type of comps that Genji kind of wants to work in. Another tip that's extremely important with that advice is that you really want to be good at communicating to your team what you want to do. Now, hypothetically, if you do not want to be in voice and comms because everybody understands there's toxic people out there and it affects your performance, perfectly reasonable. You need to be able to be a solo playmaker. You need to hard carry by yourself. You need to shoulder that responsibility that I'm not there talking to people and they're not talking to me. So everything I do, I have to have a proper game plan. Again, that goes all the way back to scouting and strategizing, right? So that's important. Another thing is understanding how to push the kit to its absolute limit. You know, do not just think that, oh, I'm just double jumping for the sake of just double jumping. You can use double jumping to actually even bait out cooldowns. You can use you know, deflect early to mess with a target and force them to stop shooting, immediately cancel deflect and go for a kill. There's a lot of ways to play mind games with Genji. That's another thing you need to get good at with the hero to be able to do that effectively. Genji is a hero that you need to spend a lot of time with and really improve, not in the macro play, like the big things like, you know, Nano Blade, because, you know, that just requires a few workshop training and bot practicing, and you'll get it down before you know it in like 3, 4, 5 games of doing it. His micro play matters more, in my opinion. What do I mean by micro play? The way I see it is that these little interactions, how you dueled the Cassidy, how you chose to duel the Mei, the Doomfist, like you know, Ana and Brigitte, and how you approach these little scenarios where it's very difficult for Genji to get value out of. That is what differentiates a really, really good Genji from a really, really average Genji. So you know, somebody's gonna be like, you know, give me an example, like, what do you mean by that, right? So let me explain, right? For example, I'm going to show you a clip here. It's one of my favorite clips of all time, and I've been able to, I have a version of this clip that's like a lot more clunky, and then I have this version like 2 years later. It's my own personal progress. I'll do my level best to, you know, do some editing magic and get both clips. So the first iteration of this clip, if you can see, this was early into Overwatch's life, but like this spot over here on Nepal Village, this has become one of my favorite spots to play Genji on, and I actually duo with a main tank player, and I would tell him when he's playing Reinhardt to fire strike. And the reason I tell him to fire strike into this choke is because, you know, once it goes in a straight line, that straight line fire strike is doing 100 damage. If you follow up with deflect, that's 50 damage. And if there's any other type of damage that comes in, it's pretty much a secure kill with Genji, and then you can immediately follow that up with a big dash combo. And if the Mercy is damage boosting you, I think the dash does about like almost 70 or 70 plus damage. I'm not entirely sure about that. But the point is that you're going to like open up this choke in Nepal Village, right? So I've kind of learned this little spot over time, and you won't see any other Genjis doing this type of stuff. But you sure as hell will see me doing this type of stuff. Like I'm telling my Reinhardt, this is what I want. I'm telling the Mercy on my team, this is what I want. I might be telling Ana that after we do this and they start looking at me, then throw the nade, because at that point I'll get the heal from the nade because I'm, you know, in their backline, and most likely 6 players will be looking at me, hopefully, and that would allow the Ana to kind of just, you know, throw a nade where it doesn't get blocked by any shield or something, because the enemy Ryan, Orisa, Sigma, whoever is turning around and now looking in my direction. Nice. Please push. So it's plays like this that can lead into, you know, plays that can make big gameplay changes, and you really have to be the leader of the group. Like it's there's kind of a consensus in competitive Overwatch that the flex DPS players or projectile DPS players, or just in general DPS players, should not be the shot callers, because they should be just focused on their mechanical play, right? And the supports and the tank should be the one that should be like leading things. But when you play the flex DPS or projectile DPS role, characters like Pharah, Genji, Hanzo, you know, these characters, the real potential of them shines when you have a leader-like figure on these characters, and you need to know how to use every resource on your team. This is the final tip that I'm sharing. You need to know how to use every resource on your team effectively. If you have Ana, Mercy, Winston, D.Va, right? I'm going to leave the other DPS out because usually these people will do their own things. So this is the comp that you have, and you guys are in voice, or even if they're not in voice. If they're not in voice, you need to anticipate that when the Winston and D.Va go in, I'm going to jump in and jump on the targets that they go for and try to get the dash reset and start to do my thing, you know? But if you are in voice with them, then you want to coordinate that, hey, I'm going to make a dive for this target. Let's all jump on it together, and then let's move from this target to the next target. These are small things, but the key aspect to how you really make Genji work honestly is discipline. You need to not rush your dives. You need to not rush your gameplay, your blades and everything. Take the safer dragon blade, go for the nano blade, go for the mercy boosted blade. Go for the safer dives. Don't dive alone into a 1v6. Take a Winston Diva or Wrecking Ball with you, or in Overwatch 2's case, Doomfist can follow you in now too. So be smart, be safe with your playstyle. Pay attention to what you have, pay attention to what they have. Anticipate that the enemy might have the Cassidy flashbang or the grenade in Overwatch 2. Anticipate that they'll have nade and sleep, and accordingly, use your deflect wisely, because it might make or break the upcoming team fight. So that is my advanced tips to share. If there are any more advice or anything else you'd like to know, leave it in the comment sections below. There will be one final video for Genji that I'm going to share, and then I will be moving on to other heroes and expanding my guides and reach and everything. But I'm more than happy to do WOD reviews. So if you want WOD reviews, leave that in, talk to me in the comments and we can set something up. But the final Genji video that we're going to do for this guide series for this hero is going to be how to dominate with Genji in Overwatch 2. That will be the final video, and then we'll move on to another topic and all sorts of, how to play Overwatch at a high level, how to understand Overwatch at a high level. That is going to be, the focus of the content, along with news and all sorts of other Overwatch updates that will come along along the line. With that being said, thank you so much for watching this video. I genuinely hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, leaving a like and subscribing are free ways to support the channel. Thank you so much for bringing me to 80+ subscribers. I hope we can get to 100 by the end of this or next week. That'd be really cool. I'll see you in the next video, and I hope you have a really good day.